All right, welcome everybody. Glad you found your way here. I think, was there a registration process, right? As you joined the Zoom or anything different? Yeah, okay. I think that helps people not Zoom bomb. So, but it also makes it so some people might not be finding their way here, but that's okay. You all are, and that is fantastic. Okay, we'll see what happens with the work today. So this is from Loving What Is. Okay, Katie says, can you absolutely know that it's true that your daughter's drug addiction is ruining her life in the long run? So, a woman questioning her thoughts about her own daughter. Like the thought is, my daughter's drug addiction is ruining her life. So, there's those, just think about anybody in the world, anyone you want to, close, near, far, past, present, future. They are ruining their life. They're ruining the lives of somebody. Okay. So Katie says, can you absolutely know it's true that your daughter's drug addiction is ruining her life in the long run? Answer, no. Katie, it all begins to make sense. I love that you answered that question. What I found when I did the work on my daughter in 1986 was that I had to go deep to find the same thing. And it turned out that because of that addiction, her life today is very rich. The bottom line is I just can't know anything. I watch the way things are in reality. This leaves me in a position to act sanely and lovingly. And life is always perfectly beautiful. And if she died, I'd still be able to see that. But I can't fool myself. I really have to know the truth. And then this question that Katie will ask from time to time. If this path were your only way to God, would you choose it? And the woman answers yes. Just noticing that situation. There's those other people or anything that looks like is uh, a threat. And like we do here, just a hodgepodge of all of us and our minds, and you get to see what kind of pops up and comes up to the surface around stress. What looks dangerous, threatening, feels like an aggression. You might see where that's ruining something, you know, if that's what it looks like. So you can share it in the chat and just take a moment and notice when you have any kind of disturbance, what looks true and disturbing, like something you'd like to question. Larry.
Somebody else kind of put this in the chat, I think. If she died, life would still be beautiful. Are you kidding me? You're really? No. My answer is no. That would be something to work on.
Yeah.
Life would not be beautiful if Carol died, my wife.
Okay.
And I've been thinking about this because right now life really is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things are really good. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop,
Uh,
whatever the shoe is.
yeah.
But death would be a big one. Life will not be beautiful if Carol dies. I can absolutely know that is true.
Then it's in some ways, I mean, you can still go through the questions. That's what's amazing about the work is it's not saying stop there.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I want to go through the questions, and I want
Yeah.
to even revisit it. Is that absolutely true?
Sure. Go.
But that's where I'm at. When I heard that quote, I was like,
Yeah.
please, come on.
Yeah. 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 And it is really interesting to see. It's like just hearing somebody else's experience and then seeing if anything, just because you don't see it that way doesn't mean there's something like hers is the right way and you should be seeing it different. I don't, whatever. Yeah, it's just like I like the color blue, this other person likes the color red. There's no, that means nothing. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So good, good, good. All right. Anne, yes. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, this is an interesting one. The first thing that came up listening to Larry was, my son. I would still, 3.5 years out, trade anything to have him back,
Mhm.
including my own life. I would trade anything. And and there are beautiful things, even in his absence, even about him being absent, which is,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know if I actually fully believe that one, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's a really interesting one to sit with, having lost a number of people, um, that I didn't think I could live without, and still being alive, and still looking for the beauty.
Yeah. What I appreciate about your approach is it's not, you're not saying you should find any beauty. It's just like willing to just sit and see
Yeah.
because you have the experience, you have
Well,
the,
and also, really knowing my son, and knowing that he wouldn't want me not to live. If the roles were reversed, I wouldn't want him not to live.
Mhm. Yeah.
um, and how do you live through that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know how I have. I don't know sometimes why I have. And yet you know, there are still beautiful things, and some of them really remind me of him, and some of them are just infused with him.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel, yeah, there's just so many layers to it, but I think it's so I'm so grateful that I was in the work when it happened.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And for you in this community that could handle hearing some of it.
It's amazing. I'll never forget it either.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, and
Yeah.
it's, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's the day to day, and I'm I've been struggling a lot with a tenant, and the tenant is out, but the person he left a person behind in the house who wasn't supposed to live there at all, and the sheriff is going to be getting him out. So I have lots of thoughts about that, and
Wow.
worries, and but then I also just had some wonderful time with my daughter, and I've worked a ton on her,
Hmm.
um and that's softening and changing, and anyway, so all sorts of thoughts.
Yeah.
Not sure what my particular stressful thought is today, but I wanted to chime in on that one piece. So
Yeah. I
thanks.
love it. Thank you very
Mhm.
much for sharing
Thanks.
that. Yeah. So Adrian shares, what is beauty? Such a good question. What is this? I've experienced the death process of a friend as beautiful. Yeah, I can find that too. I've had that experience as well. And Joe, I'm wondering if there's a popcorn here about living with loss. Sure. Yes. Just noticing and life and death. But You know, that is a good one, is to kind of consider, well, first just see the door open for what looks stressful for you. And I like the question of what have you lost that feels painful? Yeah.
You're looking for an answer?
Sure. Yes.
If Carol weren't here, first of all, Anne, hello. It's really good to hear from you. I've been wondering how you're doing.
It's good to see you too, Larry.
Thank you. So there's conversation. I will never have a conversation with anyone. Here's the belief, like I have with Carol.
Hmm. Yeah.
So there's that. There's the physical contact.
Mm-hmm.
I will miss that tremendously.
Hmm.
There's the past. I'll be married 52 years next month. There's a huge amount of past there. I can say one word and Carol will burst out laughing, or I would.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's gone.
Mm.
If I really sat here for another 2 minutes, I could come up with, five or six or seven other things. All that she does for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, gone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I'm sure Anne would say have a similar list. And and then Anne says 3 years later, and I'm like, oh God,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a long time.
Yeah. So just noticing, I mean, the brilliance of the mind, and we're not saying it shouldn't be doing anything that it's doing, that it's shouldn't, just noticing thought and how it'll show you what you won't have. Let's review. It says it's kind of like, here's what I won't have, here's what I won't have, here's what I won't, like these things. I would miss it.
I won't have my future. I won't get to see him have kids. I don't get to see
Yeah.
him grow up,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I have with my brother too.
Ah,
And
yeah.
I notice it also, it really infuses like when people are traveling, when other sorts of things happen. I have even just driving around town, even driving, you know,
Mhm.
there's so many ways that it influences life,
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing how quickly it can shift.
Yeah. Sudden loss too, the way we have, but sudden loss. But even if it's not so sudden, it looks like it's coming or whatever, you know. So I will miss that. Yeah, in English, in really interesting word, the word gone. That's gone. Like looking up the etymology of things sometimes, and uh, I'd have to look it up again to see, but it's gone. I had it, and now it's gone. And noticing what I think it means, because there's a bunch of things that are gone that you don't mind at all, not bothered. But I will miss that. Don't like that it's coming to an end. I won't get to see these things. Okay, anyone else want to see how the thought sounds or how it comes out, how you describe it? Jody.
I kind of went a completely different way with it, although I was able to answer all the questions,
Mm-hmm.
a loss and what it means that. But there was a condo that I was offered to purchase in um 2019, 2020, right? I don't remember the exact date. And I've been kicking myself ever since. And I'm thinking,
Ah,
so I'm writing down that I'm just allowing myself to feel that kick that I keep pushing away.
oh, yeah.
So I know it doesn't compare at all to the loss of a
Mm-hmm.
family member, but there is still that my body's responding.
Yeah. I lost, would it say, I lost my chance? I lost.
All these things I would have had if I had bought it. And
Mhm.
it means that, I'm not good with money.
Ah, yeah. So it turns towards you and yeah,
Mhm.
since you didn't do it.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. Instead of buyer's remorse, it's lack of buyer's remorse, not buying remorse.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that condo's doubled from.
Yeah, yeah. I lost what I would have had. It's kind of like interesting, path through life and then moving towards in a certain direction. The thing I have to say goodbye to this thing when I turn that way. Oh, that word decide is, side is like cut off. So I have to actually cut off other options.
Yeah, and I like to tell myself, okay, this is how it is. This is reality. But I still get that.
Ah, gosh.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So I like, I should have that, you know, um, in this case, a condo. I should have that condo. Um, I should have a marriage. I should have a living son. I should have I should have that. This needs to continue, or I should have it. I never had it. I should have it now. That's a good one to just notice that thing that's absent and that thought, I should have it. And if I already have it, I should keep it. So maybe let's all do the work today and just notice, hold your situation. I should have that. Or here's this thing, I should keep it. Larry.
I wish I had the replay. Do you remember what I said when I so adamantly said I will never? Do you remember what I said after that? And the
You
reason I'm
mean,
asking, when I said if Carol died, I will never.
right.
Does
I,
anybody remember? I don't remember. Why would I expect anybody else to remember?
right.
No, the reason I bring it up is because I was so adamant about it.
Yeah,
Don't try and talk me out of this.
right. Yes.
I will never have this again.
Yes, it would.
Almost like I shouldn't ever have this again. What
Yeah,
does that mean? Like
yeah,
what does that mean for the 52 years with Carol?
yeah,
I
yeah.
will never.
Larry, was it be happy?
It wasn't those exact words, but yes. In essence, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle.
Wasn't it experience life as beautiful? Weren't you talking about life is beautiful now
It
and
will
life will
Oh,
never be
never
maybe.
be
beautiful.
beautiful?
Oh, yeah, that was it. Thank you. And it should be.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
Never be beautiful if that happens. Ever, ever. Yes. It's great to be in touch with just what all the emotions are saying in there. Like if there is something that looks almost defensive, don't you, yeah, I don't want to hear that other quote about somebody being okay with that. Yeah. So, yes, Adrian's remembering. I'll never have the conversations or the physical contact or the past. Something about the 52 years looks, all that shared experience gone. Okay. So something that would be gone that I have, or something that I should have that I don't. So here I am needing to keep this thing, or here I am missing something. And let yourself, narrow it down to look at something that looks really important. It's okay to do it on a person. This work doesn't question whether the person died or not. And sometimes it's just very profound to sit there with something that's so full of grief and loss and still be willing to sit with it. And it's okay if whatever comes to your mind in this work, you might judge as, well, that's kind of superficial or whatever. Just, it's totally fine. Let it be there. That's the thing that wants to be inquired into. So I need to keep this, or I should have it, and I don't. Okay. So as you look at that, is it true? I should keep it. I should have it. It's a good one, Joe. Joe writes, I was packing up my office my whole professional life of 25 years, and it felt like a big loss. Yeah. Larry.
I came to my happiness depends on Carol being alive,
Ah,
which is something I've worked on before. But
yeah.
what's interesting to me is I came up with a yes. That's true. But what's interesting to me is I actually sat here considering that.
Ah,
So progress.
that's progress. Yes. You didn't race race away from that question. Yeah. Or say, what are you talking about? How dare you ask me that question? Yeah. Is it true? And I love the way you kind of got just specific and kind of it's exactly, I like doing that too, because then if your mind runs all over the place, you can come back and just see this simple concept. So it's a great, yeah, my happiness depends on that. Okay, and Anne says, my thought is Finn should still be here. Yes, it's true. Okay, so when we have a yes, you get to ask the next question. Can you absolutely know that this is true? I should have that I don't have right now. I should keep this thing that I've got. Don't want to lose it. Can you absolutely know that it's true? And is that a yes, absolutely true, Anne, that you wrote in the chat?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I love that it's, whatever is your answer. No other authority saying here's the better answer. No, it's just really seeing. Seeing for yourself. So others, what do you find? What are you looking at and what are you finding? Can you absolutely know it's true? Any surprises? What'd you find, Jody, with your condo?
Well, I said yes, yes, I should have purchased it, but in reality, I didn't. So
Ah,
absolutely would be no.
that is sometimes very powerful. Yeah, what is the reality? Hmm.
I was going to rent it out, so I could be like Joe, having to have the sheriff come and drag somebody out. I think that was Joe.
I think Anne there's a sheriff coming. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah. Great. I love that I don't know is a no, because I mean, it's not absolutely true. And it's totally fine if it's a yes. I mean, really just let yourself have your yes. And we still get to continue. Larry.
I'm amazed I'm even considering this question because, I mean, like what, for Anne, absolutely. I mean, Carol's alive. She's doing well right now.
Mhm.
I can see that my happiness is independent of anything. Anything. I can see that.
Wow. Wow. Cool. Yes.
But I can't. What kind of person would say, no, my hap? I mean, it's almost like saying, oh, go die. Fine. And because today I was listening to a replay of a session and I was thinking about who is this I
Yeah.
that gets sad when I say I'm really disappointed in me. Who are these people?
I love that
So,
question.
well, it's
Yeah.
weird because I can't come up with an answer. If I say my happiness,
Yeah.
who is that? I
Right.
mean, maybe it's too. I know it's too philosophical. I think for the work, but maybe I don't know. But so I don't know. I don't know. Would that be a no? Absolutely, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't want to say no.
Yeah. And that's what's great about that is just seeing there's something that comes in about there's some meaning around saying no or being that detached or something about it that might mean something for you that's just alive there. And it could be something that could be questioned, and it could be it's all right. That's you don't know what it is, and who kn- doesn't matter. But I love who's the I, who's talking. I've sometimes thought, who is talking? I love that Byron Katie says there's no new thoughts. Where are the thoughts coming from anyway? Like you had to learn them, or yeah, somebody said you had an experience, you have an idea, things offered. So Joe says, I love that, Grace. Those two questions. What comes to me is how these questions point to some level of control we erroneously presume to have. That's interesting. Okay. All right. So just noticing, I should have that I don't have. I should keep that. I should keep it if I have it. What happens when you think it? How do you react? And love feeling it in your body. How do you react? letting all the feelings be there, present. Amazing the amount of images you can get in your mind, right? The ability of whatever thought is incredible. See those images of the alternate, if I had it, if that happened, if I lost it. Joe says anxious, frightened. Something's not right. I need to do something about this situation. Zero chance of acceptance and surrender. Wow, powerful. Yeah. How do you treat yourself and how do you treat like just the world that it shows up like this with this thing missing or this possibility of losing? Anne says, I'm a little numb and shut down around it because it seems impossible. This thing I want is impossible. So it's like my mind doesn't want to touch it. I want to hide from it and pretend it's not real. Yeah. Quick, don't look. Don't look at that. Larry.
Yeah, what Ann said, ditto. And was it Ann who said that about?
Yeah, that was Anne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I went back to, I was thinking about a specific death, my father's death.
Hmm.
And what was I thinking? What was I thinking?
Mhm.
The unreality of it, yes. It was something like I treat death like I treat life, which is I'm not looking like 52 years of
Hmm.
a sensational marriage
Mhm.
where I've been perfect and Carol is, she has problems, but it's been great. But also 52 years in a way of waiting for something, for the shoe to drop.
Hmm.
So it's like the reaction is like, God, what is the react? I numb, I guess, with somebody. I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't know what I'm groping for here.
Hmm.
But there's something. There's something about imagining how horrible it is and not how great it's been, or something like that, or even is.
Yeah. Well, it also like, so how do you treat life or yourself or, kind of that it's
Well,
that
happiness is temporary.
yeah. Yeah.
Tragedy is forever. Happiness is temporary.
Oh, okay. Even yeah, more interesting there. Tragedy is forever, happiness is temporary. Yeah.
Comedy is hard.
Yeah.
No, dying is easy. Comedy is hard.
Okay.
Tragedy, yeah, it's like that. It's like always on the verge of slipping on the banana peel.
Hmm.
Don't get too happy, you
Uh,
know.
yeah. Wow. Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry I don't have it more fully formed or something. I feel like I should get on here with some definitive
Oh,
statement
great.
because I'm kind of groping for what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's sort of fitting in the whole thing. It's just something's like, I just know something's missing. What is it? And just life, that's pretty interesting to say tragedy. Tragedy. Happiness is temporary. Anne says, it makes me question reality and my ability to cope and my sanity at times. It's hard to breathe or function or want to go on. Adrian says, Larry, it's called the work for a reason. Work, that work. Yes. Yeah. Work. What is it? Yeah. So just noticing how I react when I treat myself, like whatever it means about me. Sometimes there's, escape. How do I escape this? How do I get out of here? Eat some food, watch some TV, do this thing over here, and just get out of here. You see those images of that better way, and it's not this, or that terrible way. So I'm just scaring myself with that terrible future. But I like seeing those images. Got this straight from Katie, but if you looked in a basket of those images, of those thoughts, what would you see? A basket of thoughts. You see nothing. It's amazing that we can, I don't know, I find my mind amazing. It's like I can picture in my mind, but where is that picture? There's just, I've seen something before, or I put things together, or things, puzzle pieces go, or something occurs. I don't know. Just funny little things, very, uh, they say if most people with memory tests, really, it's very flawed, that mind. A man says, yes, I shut it out, shut it down, eat, watch something, block it out, focus on something else. Even anxiety is a distraction. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So just noticing the pain of this thought. Okay, so who are you? You can even say, what are you without the story, without this thought? So without the belief, without the belief, something's missing. I want that thing. I should have it. Without the belief, I should keep this thing. I don't want to lose it. Sometimes with these very intense, grief-filled thoughts, I like noticing, the sleeping happens and you aren't thinking about it. Who would you be without the thought? And if you without the thought, your mind shouldn't be thinking it. Without that thought, just know, like sort of a great compassion for your own mind, offering up these images. Hey, you could have this and you don't have it. Hey, you're going to lose this that you have. There's no story about that your mind is doing that. Adrian says, without thought, I notice I never had or owned that thing. So I'm free. It's amazing yeah, that is mine. Is it true? That thing that I think I have, it's mine. I remember thinking about that with a house as well. I shouldn't have sold it. So similar to Jody's. Shouldn't have sold that out. Shouldn't have moved. Yeah, shouldn't have moved. Um, and then doing the work, it occurred to me, well, that was other people's house, and they fixed it all up. And then I moved in, and it was my young family. And then I moved out. I don't know. Was it my house? I was inhabiting it for a while, but I couldn't really say that it was mine. The house I live in now was built in 1940, before I existed. You know? Yeah. Larry.
It almost seems like it's too easy to say this, given, like, I'm thinking about Finn with Anne.
Mm,
Carol's alive.
mm-hmm.
I have no idea. I mean, this year, 6 or 7 friends have died, but
Wow.
none of them, I was close, but none of them would be like Carol. So it's easy to think, well, from this position,
Yeah.
without the thought. But today I was at work and there were long stretches where I wasn't thinking of Carol.
Yeah. Isn't that?
And it wasn't because I was distracted by a phone ringing or something.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yes.
I was just wasn't thinking of her,
Yeah.
and everything was fine.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's in the present. Now I imagine she's dead. I don't know if she really were dead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'd be closer, I think, to what Anne is
Mm.
pointing to.
Yeah.
So how do I say my happiness depends on Carol being alive? Well, she is alive.
Yeah.
How do I even approach? Well, without that thought,
Sure. It's a great question. Well, it's like it is great to notice that what's the reality, whatever, as we're like, in some ways, this is all about what's reality. Are we studying reality here? But that my mind can imagine being in a position that's different than it actually is in. It can imagine that, but it is imagination. But we're amazing at imagining. Yeah, we really are. It's incredible.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've survived the deaths of my friends. I think about them, but I'm not at the moment devastated by their deaths.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if I just stayed in the moment, I'm in the moment. It just,
yeah, yeah,
I mean, things are really going very, very well in the
yeah.
moment.
And even like right now, it's kind of a funny thing, but you don't see Carol, right? She's not in the room.
Right.
So it's like she's completely gone in some, except for in your mind. She's totally gone, but you're not bothered by it because you just sort of aren't questioning that she's not out there in the next room or in the house somewhere.
Unless I flip into what's happening out there,
Yes, right, right.
which again goes back to tragedy is permanent.
Yes,
My mind can easily go
yeah,
there, which so Anne or somebody talked about distractions. Yes,
yeah,
that's what I do. I try to distract myself from thoughts.
Yeah. And just see that I sometimes think of this as a funny thing, but it's just thoughts. Like it looks so heavy and serious and terrible, but it's only thoughts.
Yeah, I've had that thought many times that I am, sticks and stones may break my bones,
Hmm.
but words really kill me.
Yeah.
My thoughts, I'm afraid of my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. So, isn't that just for a moment with this question, who would you be without it? It's almost like as you're watching them, who would you be without the story about your thoughts being so horrible, and like scaring you to death and but just letting them all be there. What if that was okay?
Grace, I remember in the first few weeks after Finn died, because I had been doing the work all the time, there was a moment where my mind, it was so used to pulling thoughts apart
Mm.
that the thought arose, is there any way in which this is not horrible?
Wow. Yeah.
And, at that point, I couldn't find any way that it wasn't horrible. I still struggle to find that.
Yeah.
Um,
But even having that
right.
question
I
enter.
mean, and my daughter, I remember her asking me, is this different from when you lost your brother?
Wow.
And my answer to her, and it's interesting that I even had the clarity to say this, was, well, I'm different. I'm different than when I lost him,
Hmm.
because there was the tiniest bit of separation between me and my thoughts about it.
Uh-huh. Wow.
And, and there have been other thoughts since then, like, um, would I have traded having him for 17 years to not have this pain? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know,
Good one. Yes.
I mean, Larry wouldn't trade 52 or,
Mm-hmm.
75 fabulous years with his wife,
Mm-hmm.
to not have that pain.
Yeah. Right.
And even, I've had a number of people that I know lose a child since I lost Ben. Not people I know super well, but,
Mm-hmm.
a handful of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what to do when that happens.
Wow.
I call them immediately. They often don't answer,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't back off and not talk about it. I call them,
Wow.
because you want to know someone else knows and cares and is holding it with you.
Yeah.
And I keep calling them.
Wow.
There was one whose her daughter, who she'd been caring for 10 years, died in the bed next to her.
Wow.
And I told her, Tina, I'm going to call you every week until you tell me to stop.
Mm.
And, it went on for a number of weeks. And eventually she kind of got her wheels under her and, was doing other things and wasn't answering anymore. But,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know to do that,
Wow.
as most people in my life didn't know what to do. Almost everyone,
Wow.
pulled away and got quiet.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You just,
And, Finn taught me that.
wow. Wow. Which is kind of a movement into like seeing, is there any benefit for this state of affairs, this position that I'm in? Either not having the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And just like the only choice really being to to harden and shut down and hide,
Mm-hmm.
or to break open and, get more raw, more
Wow.
open, more. I mean, there's more pain then too,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, it's not like there's not pain when you don't. And either you're like alone in your hole, buried in food or alcohol or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or you're, crying at the grocery store in front of the LaCroix display because your son liked LaCroix,
Yeah.
which is more my situation.
Yeah. 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 Sounds like such an allowing of just being human.
Yeah, I mean, not all the time. Sometimes it's piles of food and whatever.
Yeah. 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 Thank you, Anne. Larry.
That is so courageous. My God, it brought tears to my eyes. The courage of, because I would be like, I couldn't even talk about it
Oh, I mean, I
in my
don't.
mind, you know?
I don't. Like I go to, it's just I had to go to the grocery store and I forgot that was the one we used to go to together. And here's the LaCroix and I'm crying. I mean, it just was like at a certain point, I was like, I can't stay in the house for the rest of my life. And if I go out, there are triggers everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely everywhere. I don't know that it's courage. It's just that, you know, you're still alive and you're in the world. And, you know,
Hmm.
Well, it sounds like courage to me to go
yeah, I don't
places
know.
where you know you're going to be triggered. That sounds like courage to me.
No, it's everywhere though. I mean, there's nowhere to go that I'm not triggered.
Yeah.
I see him everywhere because he was always with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't go to the bank for 3 or 4 months. I had to have a friend drive me. It's 2 blocks away. I couldn't go in. She had to take the deposit in for me, you know. Still, I go to the grocery store still sometimes 3 years out, and I'll run into someone who hasn't heard, and I have to tell them,
Hmm.
it's like I don't want to do that.
Yeah. But I
But I
love,
also can't not say that when someone says, "Oh, how are the kids?"
yeah.
Sometimes I just say fine. But
Yeah, it's just really feeling into that, the who you'd be without your thought. And you're not in denial about this has happened or happening. There has been something that used to be here.
without the thought that he should be here, I'm just whoever I am in that moment.
Yeah,
And I'm not, concerned about protecting people from how I'm doing.
that is beautiful. Yeah, right.
And I'm not wanting to set them on fire for having the wrong reaction,
Yeah,
which is how it was the first year.
yeah, yeah. There they are being themselves. Here I am being myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, now I'm not as raw, so I'll come up with as gentle a response as possible. But, if people ask a few more questions, they're going to hear how I am.
yeah, yeah.
Or I'm going to say, I don't want to talk about it. And, I need to go now. I'll find an exit. Or
So,
I'll just, not go down that aisle.
so turnarounds, just noticing all these experiences and kind of the flow of people and things and turnarounds, like finding as I move about life, doing things like Anna's describing, going to the store, going to the bank, going to the school or the job, and even entertaining the idea of without my thought, without the story. It doesn't mean anything should be happening with thoughts or not happening with thoughts, but just seeing um, I haven't lost it. So the thoughts, it's like, I should have that thing. I shouldn't have it if I don't. Can I find even the tiniest example of how not having it is 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 okay or even supportive? And I loved Anne's example of it helped her just she knows what to do when somebody else has that kind of loss. And she does it. He Finn taught her that, she said. Yeah, and I don't have to worry about him anymore. And then that one, if you're looking at it, I should keep this thing. I shouldn't. And it can even be, I am, like there's a turnaround in there that it's always with me.
Yeah, that one's actually a strong one. It was a little hard even to work on this thought because I do feel like he's always with me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he was between 15 and 17, he was living with his dad, so I didn't see him all the time. And I do feel like he's with me more now in a
Wow.
certain way.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Larry.
And I also heard, what Ann said was, I don't know if this applies to me or not, but there's you said, Ann, if people ask me, I'm going to tell them. So there's like a freedom to be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know
Hmm.
I don't know if that applies to me or not, but I'm always thinking, am I going to make somebody angry? Even if I have a belief, you can't make somebody else angry. I worry about it
Sure.
but
Yeah,
there's this,
that has actually shifted, Larry. I've been, I would say, like a raging codependent most of my life. I've been so focused on everyone else and how they're doing, and I just haven't had the same sort of capacity to take care of other people.
Mhm. Sure.
And I think that has actually been good. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, I would still do anything, um, you know, to trade it, but
Yeah.
if we're looking at, is there anything
Right.
that's positive?
Is there anything? Yeah.
I think I'm more honest.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, people will want to make plans, and I say, I don't really make plans anymore.
Uh-huh.
I'm just gonna, we can pencil it in, and I'll see how I feel that day.
Uh,
And I canceled a ton on people. Had a lot of people just sort of, I think, give up on trying to spend time with me. But then there are a handful that haven't, and that
mhm.
are just steady and keep in touch. And there were two people who showed up that first year who I would not have expected, and
Wow.
who I've remained quite close to,
Wow.
who could sit with it, who could handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there really wasn't anything they had to do except just be present,
Yeah.
not run away
These
from it.
examples, it's really
Mm-hmm.
just so powerful to see.
Yeah.
It's not all, well, no, it's not all in this world of duality. There's just turning attention toward.
Yeah. I mean, I feel self-conscious even talking about it here. I
No,
feel like I've taken up too much space or whatever today.
oh, no,
But I also, it's a safe place.
yeah, it's so great that you're sharing.
And I
Beautiful.
appreciate you too, Larry, how you just have so just kept looking at this with Carol and at, what just all of it. I just so appreciate your tenacity and willingness to look at it, even though you don't want to and you hate it.
yeah, thank you for that. And also, when you just said nothing, what did you say? Nothing. Um, I don't have to do anything but be present. You said something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's really helpful, actually. Glad you said that because sometimes I'm like, well, thinking of other people now, but you don't have to say anything.
You don't have to say anything.
Just be
Oh.
there. Yeah, thank you. That's very
No,
helpful.
just I mean, I think if I've learned anything, it's like if someone loses someone very dear to them, just don't disappear on them, even if they don't answer you. There's a friend, sort of an acquaintance in town who lost a daughter, I think just 2 weeks ago. And I reached out to her. She hasn't called me back, but we've texted a little bit. And just every couple days, I'll reach out and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about you," you know,
Yeah.
and not how are you doing? Because she's doing terrible,
Mhm.
of course, but just, yeah, just not having to hold it alone.
Very sweet.
Mhm.
So, anyone else have any turnarounds that they want to share? I know we're just about done, but just anything you noticed with the complete opposite or the position that you're in having benefit. Just feeling that a moment. Yeah, Larry.
Just one benefit I saw is I hate doing things for people, frankly. That's shifted. I still resent it,
Mm-hmm.
but I do it. I do a lot more things that I wouldn't have done in the past. And I think that comes from the fact when Carol was sick, I had to do a lot of things that she used to do, and I resented it at first.
Mm.
Now I'm kind of like
Mm.
enjoying it in a certain way. I'm
Mm.
not like whoopee, but I'm enjoying it. And I notice that I am saying yes more to
Wow.
people who make requests of me. Will you drive me here? Will you, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Wow.
So
Fabulous.
I saw that,
Yeah.
over the last few months.
Yeah. Yeah. Powerful. Yeah. It is, even if you can't find a specific example. I like the notion of trusting. It might show up, just might show up. So just simply seeing, can I find an advantage or a benefit or something even interesting if that sounds a little bit too favorable about it the way it is with the absence of this thing, if that's what I'm looking at. Can I find and just let it, maybe it'll appear. Who knows? Maybe it'll show up. So I love Katie's, go back to her same quote, working with a woman who thinks my daughter's drug addiction is ruining her life. Katie asking, can you absolutely know it's true that your daughter's drug addiction is ruining her life in the long run? No, says the inquirer. And Katie says, it all begins to make sense. I love that you answered that question. What I found when I did the work on my daughter in 1986 was that I had to go deep to find the same thing. And it turned out that because of that addiction, her life today is very rich. The bottom line is that I just can't know anything. I watch the way things are in reality. This leaves me in a position to act sanely and lovingly. And life is always perfectly beautiful. And if she died, I'd still be able to see that. But I can't fool myself. I really have to know the truth. If this path were your only way to God, would you choose it? So, so interesting.
Even after all this, it's hard to say yes to that.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
and I it there is a richness in the connections that have remained.
Wow. Man, yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, bringing Finn here.
Oh gosh, I want to add something. Dee just said to me in a private message. I was thinking of a benefit. Maybe you can see it. Your son was spared having to grieve your death,
Wow.
which I found. I found that one too before. Thanks, Dee.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been really hard for him. We've actually said in the family before that if anyone else in the family had died besides him, he wouldn't have survived it.
Wow.
He was such a feeler. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that something? Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for,
Thank you. Thank everybody.
yeah, thank you all. So precious. I appreciate you all so much. All right. See you again next time. Lots of love, my friends.